Chapter 8, Lesson 2, Volume of a Cone, or I guess technically volume of cones. It's very easy to do. We're going to go ahead and use the formula down here. The volume is 1/3 pi r squared times the height. Now to make this easy for you guys, here's what you can do. You can do pi r squared times the height and then just divide it by 3. All right, because that's the same thing as 1/3 pi r squared times the height. All right, I would still like you guys to remember this formula here. The volume is 1/3 pi r squared times the height, but as far as your calculations, you can just take that and then divide it by 3. Okay, let's go ahead and move on down to problem number 1. Okay, let's go ahead and get going here with this first problem. We are going to say volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared times the height. How's that for a 2 there, you guys? Okay, well now we're just going to fill in the blanks, all right? We'll say volume is equal to 1/3. Now pi, we're going to go ahead and use 3.14. And the radius is right down here, so the radius is 3, so we're going to have to do 3 squared, and then the height is right here, so we're just going to have to do 6. So we will say volume is equal to 1/3, and remember what I'm going to do with the 1/3 is I'm just going to divide the rest of this by 3 at the end, so I'll do 3.14. We've got 3 squared, which is 9, times 6. Okay, now I know that 9 times 6 is 54, so if I want to do a little bit of work in my head and make this a little bit quicker, that's what I could do. Okay, so I could just do 54 times 3.14 and then divide that by 3. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So that's just going to go ahead and give me 56.52. So I'll say 56.52. They want me to round this to the nearest tenth, so instead of 0.52, I'm just going to go ahead and say 0.5. Volume, I am doing inches. We got right here, and with the volume, we're just going to go ahead and cube that, so 56.5 inches cubed. Now, remember you guys, right down here, 3.14 times 9 times 6, and then just divide that by 3. Okay, all right, let's move on down to problem number 2. Okay, so what we have here, you guys, is a cone-shaped paper cup. Is filled with water. The height of the cup is 10 centimeters and the diameter is 8. We want to be careful with this here, you guys. What is the volume of the paper cup? Round to the nearest tenths. Okay, basically they're saying, hey, how much of that paper cup, how much water does it hold, right? So we will just say that the volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared times the height, and we're just going to fill in the blanks. So we'll say volume is equal to 1/3 times 3.14 times the radius. So the diameter here, you guys, is 8, right? So that means halfway across the circle, that's just going to be a 4. So the radius is 4. So we're going to have to say times 4 squared times the height, and they're telling me that the height is 10, so I'll just drop in a 10 right there. So then the volume is just going to be 1/3 times 3.14 times 16 times 10. So what you guys will do is, in your calculator, you can put in 3.14 times 16 times 10, and then just divide that by 3. Now, again, if you want to go a little bit quicker on your calculator, you know that 16 times 10 is 160. So you could do 3.14 times 160 and then divide that by 3. Either way is going to work out, right, you guys? Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of that calculation. So the volume is going to equal 167.4666. Let's go ahead and take that 0.46. It's like 46 cents, would be closer to 50 cents. So we're going to round that to 167.5. Well, what do we have here? We've got centimeters, and make sure that when you guys are dealing with volume, you cube that. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday, or a couple of days anyways, a couple of days ago, that you may have a pi key on your calculator. And if you have a pi key on the calculator, just use that. So you would hit the pi key right there, then you would do times 16, and then you would do times 10, and then you can divide that by 3. Now, if you don't have the pi key, you're going to use 3.14, okay? And again, Alex, I don't know what they're asking for. I think it would be great if somebody could do this with 3.14, put the answer in, see if Alex marks it correct, and then use the pi key and then try that again. Okay, I think we've got another problem here. Let's scroll down and see if we do, and if we do, we'll take care of it. So problem number 3 here, you guys, it's going to be pretty easy for us to do. It's almost like a little mini review from a couple of days ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the volume of this cylinder here at the top, and for that we're just going to do pi r squared times the height. And then what we'll do is we'll find the volume of this cone down here on the bottom. That's just going to be 1/3 pi r squared times the height. And then we're going to go ahead and add those together. Okay, so why don't we do the volume of the cylinder first. So I'm going to say that the volume is equal to pi r squared times the height. So we'll go pi r squared times the height. Okay, so let's take care of that. So the volume is going to be 3.14 times the radius. Now all the way across is 8, so the radius halfway across is going to be 4. So times 4 squared times the height. And they're telling me that from here to here is 4, so the height of that is also going to be 4. So then the volume will be 3.14, whoops. There we go, 3.14 times 4 squared, which is 16, times 4. And let's just go ahead and multiply straight across on that, you guys. So the volume is going to be 200.96. All right, we use 3.14. If you use pi, which is 3.1415926, and that keeps going, that's a little bit more than 3.14, so your volume would be a tiny bit more than this with the pi key. I'm not going to round this yet, you guys. What I want to do first is I want to go ahead and find the volume of the cylinder, not the cylinder, but the cone. After I find the volume of the cone, then I will add those together. Okay, so let's go ahead and we will do the volume of the cone is going to be 1/3 pi r squared, whoops, there we go, pi r squared times the height. So we'll say that the volume is going to be 1/3. And you guys remember from the last couple of problems, what we're going to do is just divide by 3 at the end. So times 3.14. Now the radius is still halfway across, you guys. So the radius is still going to be 4. So times 4 squared times the height. And then the height down here is 5. So we can't take the exact same numbers. All right, let's go ahead and do the volume is going to be 1/3. And we will do times 3.14 times 16 times 5. So when I put this in my calculator, just like before, I'm going to go ahead and do 3.14 times 16 times 5, and then we're going to divide that by 3. Okay? And when we do that, we get 83.77. So now what I need to do is I need to take this 200.96, my 83.77, add them together. Hey guys, before we do that, let's make this a 7.3 instead of a 7.7, okay? So when we're all said and done, you guys, we'll get 284.69. Let's go ahead and round that to the nearest tenths. So we're going to get 284.7. And looks like we're dealing with feet. And when you are working on volume, make sure you cube your answer. And that's what we get, 284.7 feet cubed. Okay, hey, that's it with Chapter 8-2. Not a bad section, you guys. As always, feel free to back up, rewind the video, hit YouTube, volume of cones, go to Khan Academy, whatever you need to do there. Okay, all right, until next time.